So few people are studying from home as well.
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah. Everything at home, I should say, not just working from home.
So just breaking this chat around here. I mean, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. They'll only see me. You don't have to worry on how you look or how, but your sound will go out, of course. So yeah, don't swear on this channel. Don't make me into trouble. So, but welcome to any viewers out there on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. If you want to participate, I've added the link over there. Please come and join in. By the way, when I said about don't swear and get me into trouble, I remember last week I had a TV behind me with video running.
Yes.
Do you know why I removed that?
Where did it go? No. Was it distracting?
The next day after that event, I got a infringement notice from YouTube, copyright infringement notice for the video that I was running on the TV.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So lesson learned, don't do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of
like
things.
Background.
Yeah. Just me and stuff that I do. So boring stuff. That's all you can see. But yeah, that was a good lesson learned. You shouldn't put even pictures or run a video on YouTube, which is someone else's copyright. So, but that was really interesting learning for me as well. And the surprising thing is, I got it right the next day, and I was like, what did I do? I mean, they even included the time as in when it was there and stuff like that. So that was really surprising. But that was a good lesson learned. I won't repeat that mistake. I'm getting some noise from someone. I'm not sure who it is. So whoever it is, if they can mute. So yeah, welcome. I think we have quite a few people. Welcome, Bimba. Thanks for joining in again. Welcome, Maladi. Welcome, Senthil. Prakash. It's been a while. Welcome, Shrikant. I think you missed the last one. Welcome, Shika.
Yeah.
Welcome, Sujit. Back again. Glad that you're not cooking this time. But yeah, it's fun to have some new faces and some old faces. I think it's generally cold. Everyone is suited up today. So yeah, except Srishti, she's in office.
Not
That's
in
a whole
Sydney.
different thing.
No. In general, Sydney is warm today. Like, it's really nice and sunny out there. I really just want to go out and be out in the sun
Lucky
and not
for you.
sitting in the office.
It's so odd to see an office background. It's different.
Just have a look.
It's like scary. Yeah, but good to see that you're in office and
Yeah. Well,
It looks
I
like
think,
we
very
rarely
soon-
go to office in the weekends and seeing nobody around there.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
feels like that. And I think from next month, I think we are going to go back to office like as per normal.
Really?
Hopefully,
Okay.
yeah, is what
Looks-
we've been hearing from New South Wales government. So
Looks like a bit
Yeah.
ambitious. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll get into a train again. So
same here.
yeah. So
Same here.
that's
Well,
a
that's what
scary
they're
part.
saying, but we are still reluctant to travel because people are going crazy out here.
Yeah.
And I've started seeing too much people around. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So once again, welcome to all. First few minutes is casual conversations. What's been happening in the past few weeks, past few days rather. If anything interesting has been happening. Wazim already shared a good news that he might have a big news next Saturday. So we'll give the mic to him next week. But anyone else, if anything interesting has been happening in the past few days, how's things been? Anything new you've been doing? Just poking your heads and poking your brains to see what's happening.
a lot of catch-ups, a lot of them. Like, one post, and I think as I mentioned last time as well, they're like too many. I'm trying to accommodate whatever I can. Sometimes I'm missing on people as well.
Awesome. Good. So just to give a
it is
context,
good.
Srishti put a LinkedIn post a couple of weeks back that she's open to video chats. She was
Even
a bit.
it was not even a couple of weeks. It was just last Monday.
Last Monday. Okay, it looks like a long time, but it got so much attention that she's booked for 2 weeks now. I mean, she has so many catch-ups right now that she's booked for 2 weeks. So just an interesting way to start having online catch-ups, and how something that looks bad can actually be fun, right?
Yeah.
Others, what's been happening?
Can I tune in?
Yeah. So
go ahead, Sujit.
Yeah.
Anyone? Anyone wants to start?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. No worries. Nidhi, go ahead.
All right. So yeah, thank you. So I just started talking to Vinesh early today, and then I shared that last week was my first video call on Zoom or Meet. I was not on the video because I didn't know how to operate. So that's how I after the video ended, I told Vinesh that by the next week on Tuesday, I'll make sure that I'm there. And I was. So past week has been quite good for me because I started learning how this video thing works, and then suddenly on Wednesday I had a interview call. So it wasn't directly from the company or was offering, but it was more from a recruitment firm. But it went well. So there hasn't been like a confirmation of job or anything, but then it took me quite a lot. I mean, quite a time to understand it and how things are working, because I was in the middle of my house moving and stuff, and then because I just finished my studies and looking for a career here in Australia, so it was quite new for me. There are no jobs around because I'm looking for a very specific role and very specific stream. So that's not there anymore. So I'm just trying to welcome whatever is coming on my way, and I had my first interview last week on Wednesday, and still waiting for something to come around. But I also started my blogs. I have an Instagram page that I just started before this COVID thing happened, and I just moving, and I couldn't update anything there on my Instagram page. And yesterday finally I got some courage. I mean, like, let's do something again, because I'm not working, I'm looking for a job, and I don't have anything else to do. I mean, how long can I clean my house? Not every day, right? So I just thought, let's see, understand what's going on around, and then, because I see you people have really worked very faster than I have. So around that topic, I just started writing a blog and I posted yesterday. So I'm feeling good that I would be doing now every day. I want to do something, some kind of post, short, big, anything that I will be doing on a regular basis now, on day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. Looks like, Nidhi just wanted to share a lot of stuff that's been happening in the past few months. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, I'm glad that it all came out after last week's event. I mean, I'm actually happy to say that my event kind of pushed you to do all this stuff, which is good news for me. Which is again, and thanks for coming back again. You stuck to your word as well. So it's important that we grow as a community rather than doing random stuff and then just moving on. So thanks for that. Anyone else? Anything interesting happening?
Thank you.
Oh yeah, something out of the world is happening with me.
Maldi always has something interesting to share. Go for it, Maldi.
I happened to interview two people from the government sector last week. So after that, now I have received an offer to be the host for a festival. The Muslim festival is coming right this weekend.
Oh, how did that go?
So I'm asked to host that. It's an online event, and this is the first time I'm going to do something like that.
Brilliant.
So I'm actually freaking out now.
You can maybe take over me in the future sessions now.
No way.
Yeah.
So,
awesome. That's good news and that's new. Yeah. Anyone else? I think Sujit had something. Yeah. Hi. Go ahead, Deepika.
Sorry. I'm actually new over here, so I'm just still trying to grab on what's exactly happening. But technically,
you're just having fun.
Yeah. So just for what you asked, I am in my final semester, so I'm having my project entirely done online. So which is something new because we have completely lost our exact, the meetups with our professor and exactly, dealing with it. And they also have multiple students. So that's kind of a challenge. But I think obviously our Zoom meetings and being up to date with our emails and being in touch with them as actually kind of it's a bit more than what we usually do, which is kind of interesting. But at the same time, I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we all had this semester. And yeah, I think that's something which has probably made a completely different experience. Probably I didn't expect this at all, because my last semester is supposed to be a bit more of involvement with my professor and my client as well for my project. But I think
this is the next best thing that we can do right now. But I think we have to try to make the best of what we have right now. That's the best we can do. Thanks for sharing your stories, Deepika, Maladi, and Nidhi, and who else? Srishti as well. So yeah, that was fun. Thanks for sharing that. So we have quite a big crowd today, 20 people in, which is big. I don't think we can play last week's game right now, which was actually fun. So let's go back to the initial game that we used to play. I think there are quite a few newcomers, so that'll be fun as well. So if you can turn on your video, that'd be fun. A question for all of you: who looks best in this setup? We have 20 people. Who looks best? I mean, what the background wise, the way they look, the way they're groomed, the way they're dressed, or whatever it is, who looks the best over here?
Vinesh,
I'm out of the context. I'm out of the context. By the way, people say, I have an unfair advantage, so I'm taking myself out of the vote. Just put it in a chat, whoever you think is looking good today. Andrew, great photo frames. Good. Wasim, okay. That's not usual. Deepika, like the posted wall art. Yeah, Deepika's wall art. I don't think that's an art though, but yeah. Bimba, yes, I agree. Bimba, I like your smile. It's pleasant. Yeah, Deepika, I understood that that's not wall art. That's just a projects. Srikanth, plain is good. Where's Srikanth? Yeah. Okay, I think not many are. Okay, surprisingly, Paulvin didn't get any vote today. Usually Paulvin gets all the vote, but that's surprising.
People used to it, I think.
Yeah, people don't like for that, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So the idea here is, I think people who've been part of this event already know, to make yourself look a bit better. I mean, of course, you can't look above and beyond what you are, but look a bit better than what actually is portraying out there. So a few tips that usually I give is camera angle. Camera angle is very important. For example, who do I pick today? I can't pick anyone today. Yeah, I think Kamal's angle is not great. Even for that matter, Gautam's your camera is a bit lower than yourself, so you're kind of looking down on us. It's like you're a giant. I mean, although you're not, we know that you're not. Or even the other way around is bad. If your eye level is too high compared to your camera, that's also too bad. Your camera should always be at your eye level. Example over here can be Malati, Shika. I think even Wasim has a good angle. So that's a good angle. Even Deepika, for that matter, her camera is down, so we are looking up her nose. I mean, that's what people say, rather than looking at her eye. So that has important. Background is equally important. I always like Paulvin's background, except for the light that he has in his background. It's fun. Plain backgrounds are good as well, but they're generally considered as boring. For example, take a look at Nidhi's background. It has a different color. It's just adding to the feeling that we get when we see her over here, right? We have a feeling that she's sitting in a balcony or wherever that is, and that kind of adds a different perspective completely altogether. So background is important as well. Lighting extremely important. For example, Paulvin's lighting is bad. We can't see his face because of the light behind him. On the other hand, who has too much light? Yeah, everyone else lighting looks okayish. But yeah, just to give an example, if I don't have this light, it'll look like this. If I have too much light, it'll look like this, which either of it is not great, right? So lighting is very important as well. And it's important that you don't hold your phone while casual events are fine. If you're doing an interview or a meeting or meetup of something, don't hold your phone in your hand. It might fall down, it might shake, it might move, it'll be very distracting. So it's very important that you don't do that. If you're doing it on your phone, place it somewhere solid so that it's not moving, it's not doing anything. And in some cases, even mic is very important. I think Nidhi had an issue last week, so make sure that your headphones work properly. For example, if my headphones don't work, I'm ruining everyone's experience today. Usually some people have their headphones. You might think that your headphones work all right, but when you plug it in, it's just some noise and random noises happening here and there. So that's important. Dressing, as I always say, doesn't really matter. I mean, doesn't matter what happens below this, but you have to, depending on what interview or what formal event you're attending, go for it. What I see these days is usually people are very, it's not a very strict environment. People know that, kids might come running and your partner might walk behind you, stuff like that happens, and that's okay. People are very open to that at the moment right now, so you don't have to be too stressed, but try to make the best use of where you are right now. Did I miss anything? People who have been hearing this for some time now.
No, it's all covered, I believe.
Yep. Okay, that's good. So coming back to the original objective of this event, so the way we do it is, I have a Google form link attached in the description. I'm getting some noise from someone. I'll mute whoever that is. I'm not sure who that is. If you can mute, yep, I think that was Prakash. So the way we do this event is there's a Google form. It's the link is there in the meetup description. You just click on it, submit your question, and we'll pick up a couple of questions and talk about it. I mean, because this is an online event and there can be a lot of people, it can be difficult when we just all of us start randomly chatting. So I kind of try to drive or control the flow so that it's better than what having random conversation. So today I'm picking up a couple of questions. So 2 questions, I'll club them together and have their answers coming out together. These questions are from Ajit and Davinder. Ajit's question is, I have a non-tech background. All my past experiences has been in business operations, growth, P&L management roles. I have background in analytics, but that is limited to spreadsheets and SQL. I have been looking out for roles in Sydney for a couple of months, but haven't heard from anywhere. How is the job market for non-tech folks in Australia? Second question from Davinder is, how can we approach the hidden job market? The reason I'm clubbing both of these together is the original question comes and you're applying for roles but I'm not getting anything back, and the second question is around hidden job market. These both are kind of related. Yes, Ajit mentioned that how is the market for non-technical roles in Sydney. I think there are a lot of roles. It's not just technical roles that are out there, especially in Sydney and Melbourne. Sydney especially, I'm sure the market is huge and there are plenty of roles, but the way you approach and the way you look for roles matter a lot over here. Now, what's hidden job market? Who knows about hidden job market? No one? I've been telling about this for a long time.
That's basically through referrals, right? Hidden job market through referrals.
Yeah.
Vineet, I had something to share here.
Go for it, Sid.
So when you talked about hidden market, so apparently like back in last year, December, I think, I had met a couple of people, had interactions with them. But I was like constructively taking feedback from them every now and then as to how I'm doing and everything. Then when I landed up a job, I was so happy that it happened because of like taking in constructive feedback. But then again, the pandemic completely like shook us all apart, suspended everything. So I was in a downtime going through March, April. Then May was something like recalibrating and coming out of this. Apparently, yesterday I got a call from that person, just checking up on me and how I'm doing and everything. And he offered me a role.
Awesome. Congrats.
I'm like, whoa, this is an investment that I did in December,
Yeah.
and suddenly this is the outcome. This is the ROI I'm getting.
Brilliant.
So yes, hidden markets are something like this.
Yeah, so that's what I always say, whatever investment you do in networking, that will be there with you. Probably, you never know when it'll come back, but that's a great news. Thanks for sharing that awesome news, Sujit. So coming back to the hidden job market question, you probably come across the stats every now and then, but 60 to 70 or 80% of the jobs in Australia are not advertised. What does this mean to you? I don't know where these stats come from, but I keep hearing this, and I think most of it is true. I can't give the data behind it, but this is what it is. So what does this mean? 60 to 80% of the jobs in Australia are not advertised.
Vinesh, I have a point. I think like most of the companies who are like in high profile, they will give to some recruitment agency. They have to give a commission part. So most of the company which are like low profile, I won't say low profile, but maybe their net worth will be less, and they won't be having much money to spend on recruitment. So they may be preferring for internal recruitments like through reference or through the what do you say, without marketing it out to outside agencies. So
Absolutely.
on those companies, I believe our chances are great, and we won't come to know unless we reach out to someone who are working in that company.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't need to be HR recruiter. Maybe you can approach to a project manager or even a project engineer who are having a lead role in that company. So I think having a look on the companies, like having for example, I'm looking in electrical background. It will be good for me to know which all companies are there in near to my areas and the areas which I'm looking for. So make a list, try to see the people who are there in LinkedIn, try to build a network or try to have a connection, just have a chat like I'm so and so, and like I'm looking for jobs or like it can be instantaneous, or you can build a relation and later on ask for them like, are you having some openings or something like that. So it's all about like reaching out to people in the unknown market.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that, Paulvin. So just like Paulvin said, the way recruitment agencies work is if a company hires someone through an agency or a recruitment consultancy, typically, I think anywhere between 10 to 20% of the fee or of the salary that you get, it goes to the agency. That's a fee that the employer has to pay the agency. So just like Paulvin said, big companies might be okay with this, but small to mid-scale companies, they don't really want to invest. Although there are a lot of pros on investing in this, because they'll get the right person, they'll know who to hire and stuff like that, and the process will be way faster that compared to the other one. But if they can save that cost, definitely people. And this is like, if you're earning, if your target salary is like 100,000, that's like 10 to 20,000 just in commission to the agency, right? So if you can save that, well and good. And that's where, there's a lot of internal referrals that happen. And this primarily might not reach the recruitment agents at all. So a lot of job ads gets filled internally. They look within the networks of the employees, and if they don't find, only then they will go to the recruitment agencies, And there's also another aspect to it. Even if it gets to the recruitment, even if it gets to a recruiter, say for example, a recruiter gets a job requirement from a company. Now they said, they need A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, etc. What would be the next step? Will that recruiter immediately go and publish that job ad on Seek or LinkedIn?
No.
You try to find in their own network.
Yeah, exactly like Sami said. So putting a job ad on LinkedIn or Seek is a bad thing for a recruiter because of the volume that they'll get out of that. They'll get maybe hundreds, 200s, or whatever it is. They might get hundreds of applications, and that's particularly not good for the recruiter. And see, when there's an ad in Seek, for example, that job advertisement might get applications from all over the world. People who have work rights, who don't have work rights, who match the role, who don't match the role. Everyone can kind of apply. I'm not saying everyone will apply. Everyone can apply, and the recruiter has to filter these, and that's not an easy job. It's not an easy job to find people in this. So before job description goes online in any of the online platforms, the recruiter always will check in his network. Do I know anyone who has a similar profile? Can I give them a call and see if they are available, or will that person refer me to someone else in his network? And that's the easiest part to do as a recruiter, right? So those job ads don't get published online as well. So a big chunk is already gone. If you're just focusing on online job advertisements, a big chunk is already gone. And when you're applying for an online job advertisement, it's very hard because the competition is extremely high. There'll be hundreds of applications for each job advertisement, and it's really hard to however good your resume is, however good your LinkedIn is, however good your cover letter is, luck plays a big part over here, and that's extremely hard. So that's what is about hidden job market in under 5 minutes. I can keep on blabbering about this. That's how that's why you should kind of tweak your approach to job search. If you're relying only on online applications, you're not utilizing the whole spectrum of what is out there, and you are having a very ineffective job search. Just like Sujit said. He didn't even apply for a role. He just networked and he knew someone, and that was back in December, and that came back right now, right? Yeah, you're adding something, Sujit.
Yeah, Manish, I had a follow-up question. So you mentioned that then the hidden market, they don't tend to advertise, but look within their network. Now my question is that now let's say from an organizational perspective, there's an application pool that they have, right?
Yep.
Let's say a new job comes in the organization, they devise a new role. Will they first look at that existing pool, or will they look at networks? Which is the first thing they'll prefer?
That I think completely.
I would like to infer on this. See, I have a role. I need to fill it. I have a friend of mine who can fit into that role. So internally, I interview him and I'll shortlist him. But for the organization's perspective, there are some rules to be followed in. You need to raise a resource requirement form, and you need to keep it open for at least 10 or 20 days. And someone needs to apply for that. And they'll apply, and they'll also shortlist. For the sake of interviewing, they may interview 1 or 2 members, and then there are chances to take them also, but the main profile would be the one who I shortlisted.
Yep.
This is the way it works. In my previous organization also, it was like that only.
Yeah. So unfortunately,
unfortunately
that's the hard truth as well, because there are processes to be followed. Sometimes the candidate is pre-chosen. I'm not saying this happens always, but sometimes
mostly it happens.
Example, if you need to sponsor someone, especially people who are on temporary visa, you can't just offer that person. That job ad has to be there for about a month. I think they have to interview X number of people and show that data to the immigration department. Only then they can approve their sponsorship. So there's a process followed by that. So in some cases, unfortunately, that happens as well. But yeah, that's also a perk of networking. So if you're networking, you're already in the system. you are in. And don't consider this as a negative thing. I mean, don't think that this is a very patriarchal society, as in where you know people, you get in. I mean, it's like your family gets in easily. It's not like that. Anyone can get in here, just that you have to network, right? Anyone can get in here, just that you have to know the right people. It's not anymore about the skills, because the world that we are living in, you can Google and find a solution of probably anything. You just need to know how to bring that bits together. All right, so that's where it's important that your people know you, your attitude is good, your the way you put yourself out is good. And this is not applicable in all cultures or all countries. Australia particularly is a very relational driven country. US might be different, India might be different, China might be different, even Europe might be different, but this is what happens in Australia primarily. All right, so I wanted to touch on another question. I think we have some more time. This is by Gautam. I think he just posted this before the session. How do you create content regularly for LinkedIn, email, newsletters, etc.? Your tips on writing, please. So content on LinkedIn. Most of my content come from stories that you share to me. So every week I'll have new content just because I'm talking to you guys. Right. For example, I'll probably share a story on Sujit soon because of what happened over there. I can, if something else interesting comes up, probably just like Maldi said, she gave an interview, but she got an opportunity to be a host on something. I can write a story on that as well. You can write as too, just make sure that you take her permission before snatching her story. That's all, right? But this is my mindset. Everything I do, I see a story behind it. I run a meetup, I attend a session, I read something on LinkedIn. I usually see that, hey, this is a potential content for my for writing a post, and I keep a note of it. I don't immediately write the story. So what I do is I usually post 2 to 3 times a week, but most of it is recurring content, as in I'll be posting about this event every week. So that's like one content a week, every week I have it. I don't have to do anything special for it. Next thing is any initiative that I'm doing or any meetup that I'm doing, I'll post about. I know that this content has to go in, and I don't have to do anything special. I sometimes even copy paste my old content and just post it. But otherwise, once a week, I'll have something interesting, some interesting story that I get from probably it could be you guys, or something that I read, or some book that I'm reading, or some movie I'm seeing, or some documentary I'm seeing, or some meetup that I attended. And when you think in those terms, it's easy to generate content. And my newsletter idea is simple. I look back at what I did that week, what I posted on LinkedIn, consolidate it, send it out. That's what I do in my newsletter. Whether it's effective or not, I'm not sure. I'm new to newsletters, but that's what I do for my newsletter. And that way I don't have to think much, probably 30 minutes, and I consolidate everything, write something new, and send it out. That's what I do in my newsletter. Brilliant question. Thanks. Yeah. So I think someone has already started a conversation in the chat. So if you want to get connected on LinkedIn, please put your LinkedIn URL on the chat so that you can connect to people. The only problem is the moment you close this, you lose the chat. So make a copy of the chat if you want it. Yeah, so that was fun. I highly recommend to get connected to Andrew. So Andrew runs an organization which is trying to get some metrics on how we job search, how to make our our profiles look better using some data, not just your resume and profiles and stuff, using some data that is available online. One of his colleagues, Jack, was part of my meetup in the past, and he ran a survey in our group. So he'd like to get some data out of you as well if you're interested. So please get in touch with him. It's nothing complicated, just a few questions. They're doing some analysis of the market on how to collect some data, and I'll highly recommend to get in touch with Andrew. If you'd like to introduce something, Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction, Vinesh. So I'm with a tech hiring startup, Reputationaire, and we have this short 1-minute survey just to get an idea of like how everybody's job searching and what kind of online profiles they have currently on stuff like Stack Overflow and GitHub, in order to see how involved people are on those sites and if this would be like a good demographic for job hunters.
Yep.
I'll post the link in the chat.
Yep. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Andrew. So, well, that was fun. I think there were a lot more people, even though for a start, it was just me, Nidhi, and Wasim. A lot of more people joined in, and it was absolutely fun having a conversation today. As I said, I mean, I always end with these things. 3 things are important. The content you generate, the consistency you bring in, and how you make yourself interesting. So these are the 3 things that I usually end with. Please keep generating content. Nidhi shared an example of how she restarted blogging. And I hope I touched a few points on in response to Gautam's question. So it's important to generate content, and it's important to be consistent on that. And if you're having some doubts on what content to share, I think Shika and Maladi shared some points on how our last catch-up went. So some ideas that they got from the last catch-up, just share. If you're new, for example, you might be surprised as in how fun this 30-minute conversation is, or how fun this online catch-up is, even though we are just looking at random boring faces. You might have felt surprised about how this worked out. That's a content for you. So go and make a post, tag us, and that's how you get more reach. Tag me, that's how you make me happy, just as an example. So it's important to generate content, and it's important to be consistent. Just like I said, for a start, target at least once a week, and it will do wonders. Trust me, it will do wonders. Just like Srishti shared, just like Shika and Maldi saw their post going out, or just like Wasim started doing it. It will do wonders when you start doing it. So please go ahead and do it. And third thing, you have to have something interesting happening in your life to make or to have a conversation with someone. So that's the reason I start with how's things going for you. The next week or next time when you join, if you are just binging on Netflix, or if you're just watching TV and doing nothing, you'll have nothing to share to us, and you'll kind of feel left out. So when you do something interesting, it could be you started cooking something, or it could be you started you got an opportunity to be a host of some event, random event, or it could be you painted something, or it could be you did a wall art with post-it notes, anything, right? Anything. So that's how you make yourself a part of this group, or part of any group for that matter. So it's very important that you are involved and there is something, and do that intentionally. I know it's hard, but you have to push yourself, otherwise it's not going to work. So for example, what I did today is I added a introduction video. So when we started this video, if you look back, I have an intro video and I'll have a ending video, and I changed the way my name comes out as well. So this is some fun stuff that I've been investing in the last week. But stuff like that kind of triggers a conversation, and it makes all fun. Before we leave, last time we missed this. Can we have an online selfie? So if you're okay, I'll put this in LinkedIn. Please turn your video on. I'll count to 3 and have a good smile, and I'll take a screenshot. This is the future of selfies, I would say. Just give me a minute. I think I closed that software which takes a screenshot.